Hey guys, welcome to the Powerful Man Show, where we help married businessmen save their marriages without having to talk about it, get unstuck, and gain clarity in their lives. As I like to say, life is too short for average. I'm your host, Doug Holt, with my co host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. Now let's get this started. What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. Tim, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I feel very fulfilled. I
Good.
loved that last episode, hearing your story and just reflecting on the ranch and just being here with you and the listeners after having been on the inner circle call before this. Yeah, this is why we do what we do.
Yeah, it is. And gentlemen, if you can imagine the men that come through the movement that we call a powerful man, these are powerful men in their own right. And, they just need a little course correction, a little guidance, as we all do, right? Could be in their business, could be in their marriage, could be in their self, could be in some category of their lives, right? We have a lot of programs that do it. Our primary flagship program is the activation method for marriages, right? How to save your marriage without talking about it. However, all of the men, and probably you listening, are unicorns, right? You guys are unicorns. You're the rare breed. Men that go out there and forge a path through the wilderness of business, of life. You guys are natural leaders. You are unicorns. And what Tim and I have done is we have established the unicorn watering hole, if you will, a place for unicorns or people like you to come drink water and feel safe and supported as you do so. And this is what we call the Powerful Man Ranch, the TPM Ranch. So Tim and I, decided this was a long-term vision of something we wanted to do, not just a coaching or training company, but we wanted to have an actual physical place for men around the world, business leaders, to come to grow, to heal, and to evolve. Right? We all want to evolve. None of us want to be the 18-year-old or 21-year-old or even probably the 30-year-old version of ourselves, depending where you are in your journey. Right? We're continuously evolving. At least I hope you are, because like a plant, if you're not growing, you're dying. And you might be dying in your marriage or in one of what we call the 5 territories. Now, those 5 territories, again, guys, are self, right? Yourself, health, wealth. Now, wealth can be abundance, could be a relationship with your creator, whatever that might be for you. It could also be money, financial wealth, whatever it is to you. Relationships, now not just your marriage, but for most guys, that's where we start. But relationships with your kids, relationships with coworkers, business partners, etc. And of course, your business. We're all businessmen. And we started off as a business company that's evolved over the years. We've been around for over 7 years. Gosh, 8 years now, Tim, I think, helping people, helping
Yeah.
men around the world. So it's not our first stay at this. So Tim and I invested in a 106-acre ranch in the foothills on the eastern side, so the Cascade Mountains in Oregon. It's absolutely beautiful. It's sunny, most days. Can get cold in the winter. It snows, but sunny most days. And so we did this. We invested in this property to be the TPM ranch where we could hold events where men can come with by themselves with their families and also continue to grow over the years. Now, with this, we decided, hey, buying this giant property wasn't enough. We have an idea. Let's take our team that makes this movement possible. And there's about 27 people within the Powerful Man movement who work with the movement and do everything from operations to logistics to fulfillment to coaching to all of the things that allow a movement of this size to move forward. And they're all over the world. So we have people in the United States and Canada, throughout Europe, and even one gentleman in the Middle East, and then South Africa. And we decide, hey, why don't we fly everybody in? We're going to fly everybody in, and we're going to have 3 to 4 days, people just experiencing the ranch, getting an opportunity to see what it is today and what we want it to become in the future. And we'll host them. We'll have Tim and I decide we're going to cook like a cowboy style dinner for them, and this is going to be absolutely fantastic. Well, you guys are probably visionaries as well. And we decide, hey, you know what would be even better? What if we invited, I don't know, maybe 12 amazing men to come out that have been through the program? We have them for a groundbreaking ceremony where they're there before the staff gets there. We work with them and they get to work the land and get to know each other better, right? Some of these guys haven't met before and they're all amazing guys. They might have seen each other before, but maybe they haven't been to the same events before. We'll bring them and then we'll intermix our staff and the guys. So the guys get a chance to meet some of the people that have worked behind the scenes to help them on their journey. The staff gets to meet some of the guys that they've helped and also heard stories about, and they can all share stories and intermix. So we decided to do this. Was it 2 weeks ago at this point, Tim? Seems like yesterday to me, but
Mhm.
2 weeks ago or so. And it took loads of planning, and it was just an absolutely amazing event. So, what I thought we could do today, Tim, is just talk about a few of the highlights. There's too many to list in this one episode, but let's talk about a few of the highlights from that event, and we'll kick it off and go back and forth.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I'd love to share that with the listeners.
So, what would you say was one of the first highlights from your arrival, from the event, from the ranch? What was your experience coming to the ranch? What did you? So, Tim hadn't seen the ranch at all. So, Tim living in the UK, the ranch being on the western part of the United States, Tim had only seen it through photos and the videos that I had shot. So, you hadn't had a chance to really experience it. You probably might have had some trepidation coming in. What was your feeling coming into the ranch and then after actually seeing it?
Shock, really. It's one thing seeing pictures, and it's one thing you and I having a vision. It's one thing getting videos from you and hearing and sensing the excitement in your voice. We can do this, we can do that. It's everything we wanted. And there was much more to it. It's one thing hearing all that, and it's another thing pulling up at the ranch and you giving me a tour and just understanding the size of a 106-acre ranch and the fact that it's ki pretty much a working ranch, yet it doesn't have cattle and such, but, I was, uh, surprised at how much would be required on also just maintaining and working the land too, but also how beautiful it was, like, on that the back deck of the main house,
Hmm.
the view to the mountains, these snow-capped mountains, the Three Sisters Mountains, clear blue skies, sun beating down, the amazing energy of the place. That got commented on by the men and the team time and time again, how peaceful it felt, and how everyone could really imagine the transformations that would happen there. So that was also something that's shocked me: the size of the place, the beauty of the place, and also the energy of the place. It was just magical.
Yeah, it's funny because this was a working ranch. They had cattle, horses on the property, and so when we bought it, all the locals near the area always asking, "Oh, what kind of animals are you going to raise? What are you going to do with the property?" Let's go, people,
Yeah,
guys.
man.
Yeah, man.
Businessman.
So I mean, the house is on the. You drive up this long lane to paint a vision, and you pass two beautiful ponds. And as you get up, you get to the main house. It was funny. One of the guys, I guess, had asked another guy that was coming, like, "Hey, do we have to bring our own toilet paper? Is there going to be like running water or something along those lines?" It's a really nice house. It's well appointed, in my opinion. That makes it work. But when you get up there, so like when we do events, what often happens is the men wake up in the morning, and of course when our staff's there, the women are there too. They wake up in the morning and they do their alpha rise and shine. Right? That's just what you do. You're in the powerful man movement. You do your alpha rise and shine. If you don't know what that is, guys, we do several podcasts on the Alpha Rise and Shine. We call it the ARS. If you email VIP, like a very important person, at thepowerfulman.com, tell them you want the Alpha Rise and Shine. We have a PDF. It's a very brief PDF that explains what that is and how you can get started today. We go into a lot more depth in our activation method course on how to do it. And a coach walks you through how you can individualize it. But anyway, our team actually goes through it. And we did our last event. The guys get up in the morning and they jog down. It's a quarter mile, maybe a half mile or so,
Mhm.
down to one of the ponds and they do a swim. And during the last alpha reset, the guys did every single morning without fail. And it was awesome to see. And they're running up. So I only say that because they also spent time walking through the fields, getting in touch with nature. One guy felt grounded for the first time in his life, he said. And so we jokingly said we don't need cattle because we want this property to create spaces for men, the unicorns, if you will, the world to come and be safe. And when I say safe, it's not because these men are weak at all, because they're not. They're extremely powerful men. but to have a place where they can feel grounded and have conversations that matter with men about subjects that us guys just don't typically talk about, but also spend time by themselves with themselves, right? And have all this space and this unique opportunity to relax. So yeah, would we get livestock? Maybe at some point, but that's not the point of this ranch. This ranch has really been designed at this point for the men, our listeners, you guys, and to host events and do that often and frequently.
Yeah, good point. Um, so what about you? What was one of your highlights?
Yeah, man. I was one of my highlights was seeing you come in. I was really excited. I put a lot of work into it, as you know, and so it was Darcy Colton, my wife Erin, the kids, and other people behind the scenes. A shout out to Stu for helping out with logistics in particular, and other people. Too many people to mention. But I was excited to see you and kind of have, and guys can relate to this. I felt like a father on Christmas, right? And I had like this package that I thought was an amazing gift, so to speak. And I know it was, I mean, it's your ranch, but you get what I'm saying, the analogy. And just having you see it
Hmm.
and just watching you look in awe at everything as we drove around and kind of explored it. And I was showing you, hey, we can do this over here. And I was thinking about this. And what do you think about this idea? And just dreaming with you really about how we can make an impact on the world. And it's something you and I talk about a lot, whether it be about the nonprofit or whatever we do with the powerful man, is it's not about the money, right? It's about the impact. Now, of course, we're a business like anything else, so there's money involved. Let's be clear about that. However, it's always about the impact first. And so you and I have been talking about it for so long, and yet you hadn't seen it. So, one thing is I say this a lot, I don't it doesn't get lost on me that you trust me so much that, we buy uh not a cheap property, and you do it sight unseen, and it's a lot of your family's money goes into it too, right? That's just, in order to make this happen, you and I had to throw in our own money to make it a reality. When you did it sight unseen, so I was excited for you to see it, and there's a little trepidation, right? Because like, what if you don't like it? What if you're like, oh man, this is a bad idea? But just to see you and have the hawks flying around us in the sky, there were two hawks
Mm,
flying and squawking at us because we're in their hood. But walking through, and there are deer laying up in the grassland, and driving up so you can get photos for your partner Amelia to show her, and taking you out to the pond, and and everything else. That was a magical moment for me because it solidified, okay, whew, he thinks when you were like, this is so much better than I thought it would be. And knowing you were okay with what you thought, but having it that be that much better, really, gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Really made all the hard work worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it made it like,
mm,
okay, cool.
mhm.
Like, this was awesome.
Yeah, it was it was kind of overwhelming. Honestly, like just like I said, shock, right? The beauty of the place, the size of the place, and then all these ideas as well. It like took me a day or two to kind of process some of it because it was just in a great way, in a really great way. When there's so many possibilities for something, and they're all so exciting and aligned with the vision and what you've always, well, surpassing what you've always seen and wanted. I get goosebumps as I say it. It's kind of like a kid in a candy store, right? Everything that's possible on that property, and then not only that, to have the men turn up and they had a similar reaction to
Yeah.
me, right? And then to have the team show up, and again, they had a similar reaction to me. So, and kudos to you again and all the other people, Darcy, Colton, Erin, um, that really helped get it all set up because there was a lot that went into it, a hell of a lot. And I can't even begin to get my head around everything. I just know there was a lot. Um, and yeah, it was stunning. It really was. I'm excited for the IC guys, Inner Circle guys, to see it in a week or so, 10 days. Um, and again, just I know I keep saying it and it sounds so cliche, but the transformations that are going to happen there, the growth that's going to happen there, the connections that are going to get made there, the marriages that are going to be transformed, saved, and reconciled. The relationships with kids, just everything. The guys often say to us they don't have anywhere else where they can go and completely be themselves, because at home they're either a father or a husband, you're thinking about everybody else, or at work they're a leader of some kind, thinking about everybody else. In the community, they're also a leader of some kind, thinking of everybody else. So that's what you heard from the guys time and time again that came. There's nowhere else they can go and be themselves except for here. So they're able to come here and completely just relax, breathe, um, almost like releasing the pressure valve around, like you said, a unicorn watering hole, right? Um, yeah, there's just going to be so much of that in the coming years. It's exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And, as we led up to you getting there, Mark Smith and Honey Badger, his nickname, they also put in some
Mm.
time and had a similar reaction like, whoa, this is not what I thought. This is a lot nicer. And it was just, it's awesome. One of my number one love language, you do the five love languages, and a lot of guys listening to this have read that book or are familiar with it. Mine's acts of service, right? So when like Honey Badger, Mark Smith, or anybody else are getting to work, it just makes me feel amazing, and it reminds me of another what I'll call magic moment. That's what I share with the kids. We do it every time at dinner. We ask what everybody's magic moment is. And I think back of this fondly when I look around and I'll use their nicknames more so than not, but maybe not. I'll just call it the guys. The guys know who they were that were there. And just seeing the guys working the land for this ideal of helping others. So the level of trust they put into you and
Mm.
I to fly out there, stay there, take time away from their families and their businesses, which is not lost on me at all, and to simply do it out of pure love and gratitude for the movement and the other men that'll come through here. Such a selfless act. Such a selfless act. And then to hear these men, so there's 12 businessmen come out to the ranch, guys listening to this. They fly out on their own accord. They come here simply to work. No idea that Tim and I are going to do work with them, which we chose to do, but simply to work. They're not getting paid for it or anything else. They're doing it because the movement, the powerful man movement, not Tim and I, but the movement has done so much for them. And to see these guys working out there, whether it be Yogi, Gentle Warrior, First Responder, The Exorcist, The Duke, Mountain, I can go on and on with all the names here. I will. Silverback, Fletch, Chief, Force of Nature, to see these guys out there working, but also talking trash. We're guys, and they haven't met each other, a lot of them before. Their banter was hilarious. The laughter, and these guys are working their butts off. It's hot. They're working the land. They're cutting trees down, moving shrubs. It's not easy stuff. Using heavy equipment to move stuff. Then they go from the banter, Tim, as you know this, and this will continue on my magic moment. They go from this banter of making fun of each other and laughing to talking about deep things, talking about their families, talking about their businesses, talking about themselves in a deep way where you can go and make fun of somebody and laugh with them. And the next thing you know, you could be supporting them, right? You could be talking about something that matters. There's no other place in the world that I have ever experienced where you can have deep conversations with other men, like real guys that matter about business or anything else. And you're going to get world class advice from men that have been there, done that. Like, again, this is the unicorn watering hole of the world. Like, this is where these guys are unicorns. These are rare. And they're having these conversations, yet they're also laughing and having fun and getting stuff done. It felt like I was in my happy place, man. Trash talking, high level conversation, and getting stuff done. Yeah, I was on cloud nine, just out there with those guys, and I can't thank those guys enough from the bottom of my heart. It meant the world to me, and to introduce them to my
Mhm.
family. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it.
Yeah. Incredible guys. And
Oh,
taking a 10-hour drive, having brought a ton of tools and machinery, filling up trailers, driving across the US to come and be with us, and not be with us, but with each other, more importantly, and contribute to future men that are going to come through the ranch is just, it's just incredible. And taking time away from their families and their businesses, and these are busy guys.
Well, well,
So yeah, I'm the same. I can't thank these guys enough. It's yeah, no words will ever come close. Um, yeah, I think one of the other moments for me that really stands out was the awards ceremony on the Saturday night.
yeah,
So So basically, the way that this was set out, the guys, one of the tasks that we wanted them to, well, they chose to do more than anything, was to build some benches because part of what happens at the Alpha Reset
picnic
is
tables,
the men could go out. What's that?
picnic
Picnic
tables.
table.
Yeah,
Yeah, picnic tables is a better way to describe it. The men go out for periods we call noble silence in between sessions and such, and they go and what we'll share too much, don't worry.
we do.
And they get to reflect. I'll just leave it there. Anyway, we wanted there to be places where these men could go and have these moments of solitude on the land. And that's where the men came and built these picnic benches. Beautiful benches, build them from scratch, cutting all the wood, putting a lot of, I think it took 2 days, 2 full days to get the benches built, picnic tables rather built, and they built 4 of them in the end, or 5 of them, how many
They
to
built
build?
four from scratch. Yep.
Yeah, and they looked amazing, right? And then they stamped them in the middle with the wolf logo. That it's one of the things that the guys at the Brotherhood event, at Inner Circle events, get to do is stamp the bags with this. It's almost like a brand, essentially. It's this really hot
It's a branding iron.
brass brand, yeah, branding iron, and then you go, thanks for the support on this one. Um, and then they
Words can
did
be
that
tough.
on the
I get
table.
it.
Yeah. Anyway, by the end of it, so the night, the evening of the award ceremony, you can imagine these 4 picnic tables, one with one that was already there on the land, all lined up down the middle of the barn. And this was a working barn. To your point, Doug, this is where a lot of the animals were kept. You know, when we took the property over, there was a hell of a lot of, well, it needed to be cleaned out essentially of all sorts, rats, feces, everything, animal waste, all sorts. And, you know, shout out to Colton and Darcy. They're the ones that scrubbed those barns and took them from a point of being literally, uh, in use by animals to being a place where we could eat a meal and have, picnic benches lined up. So a lot of work went in from the team to get that ready. And the end result was just incredible. Having dinner on this Saturday evening that Doug and I had cooked and prepared for the men, with all the men and all the team that were able to make it, sat amongst one another across these 5 picnic benches, these amazing lights just dangling down above the tables, just lighting up the place in a really great way. The tables, these 5 picnic tables, all dressed up, so they looked just beautiful. Erin bought some really nice flowers for the picnic tables too, and all the cutlery was there. And just hearing the laughter and the banter and the conversations between the team and the men while we cooked them dinner, wearing our cowboy hats. I loved Erin's passion of, hey, let's go get you guys kitted out with cowboy hats on the first couple of days. It was a great idea. That was a lot of fun. And then to be able to stand up there at the end of dinner and begin the award ceremony, for those of you listening that don't know, basically we have 4 core values of the Powerful Man. I won't dive into what they all mean, but they live it out, laugh it out, call it out, sort it out. And what the team does is at the annual retreat, the team basically votes for who they believe has exemplified these core values the most. And then Doug and I give out a 5th award. Doug and I don't vote for those 4, but we give out a 5th award basically for the person that just gone the extra mile, right? Just has gone the distance and really gone above and beyond. So anyway, we presented the team. The team don't know who's won the award by the time of the award ceremony, obviously. So the team were coming up. Doug and I, you and I were presenting the awards to the person that won each of the core values. And in between, different men were coming up and sharing the impact that the team had had on their life. And it was just this incredible moment of recognition, not just for the team and for the men to be able to be part of witnessing how the team recognize and see one another and the hard work they're putting behind the scenes, but then also for the men to come up and share with the team the impact that they have had on these men's lives. Now, these could be guys that are in the background, guys that are not coaching. It might have been the operations team or the marketing team or whoever it may be, people that don't necessarily get to see the impact and work with the men. So for them to be there and spend time with them, it was just incredible. And then that moment when Erin was recognized and she came up, and that moment between you and her where you shared with her your appreciation for her. She got a standing ovation from every single person there. She was in tears. A lot of the guys were in tears. A lot of the team were in tears. It was just an amazing. I say it was an award ceremony, but probably just a ceremony would be a better word, because it went on for several hours and it was just incredible. And for me, that was definitely the highlight. It was like the culmination of all the hard work that you, Darcy, Colton, the people on the ranch, Erin, have put in over the past few months. It was very symbolic. This barn that was basically a working barn went from that to this. And then the moment that got shared in that barn, and the food that got ate on the picnic tables that the men built with the branding iron that they'd branded it with, to Erin being recognized and the team and the men being together. It was just incredible. And we capped it off with a amazing picture that got taken of everybody there. And for me, that will just live long in my heart and my mind as just an incredible moment. It really was.
Yeah, it was it was so important for all of us to recognize the guys as well as the staff and people in the movement that make it happen, right? Like if you listen to this podcast, you get to hear Tim and I. There's just absolutely no way that we could do this without people that have our back, whether it be our partners. So for me, Aaron, for you, Amelia, our families, and then also the men in the movement, right, that support us so strong, and all the staff that come through, whether it be operations, whether it be the advisors, whether it be marketing, whether it be fulfillment, client success, coaching. Absolutely phenomenal group of people. And what's interesting is most people don't realize this, that a lot of the men that work at the Powerful Man, these guys were business owners who left their businesses to come work here because they see the legacy they want to leave on the world. Said another way,
Mm,
these are men that own their own company, just like you listening to this, or ran a company, who said, you know what, I want to make a bigger impact. I want more men to have the opportunity of having the transition and the journey that I've had. And they've come on board with us throughout the world. And it's just truly warms my heart, whether they've run Fortune 200 companies or whether they've run a small business in their hometown. These are amazing men with hearts of gold, and the women that are also on the team who don't get a chance to go to our events. We're a men's only organization at this time. So we have several women who are the backbones. In fact, the person who won the award from Tim and I, who goes above and beyond, that she is a woman, and she does it flawlessly to serve the men. Like you guys listening to this, if you're an alumni, she's probably directly had an impact, or indirectly had an impact on your journey. And if you're coming through the activation method, if you're on the fence and you're going to come on board, there's some way, shape, or form that this woman, and probably the other women as well, are going to have a touch point with you, or something that you touch, that's going to allow you to have this amazing transformation that the other men that go through our programs have. And every time we do a program or anything else, every event, our team gets together and we're like, how can we make it better? Which sounds crazy, right? So literally, we have, out of the thousands of men that have been through the program, they all rate it anonymously, so they can be extremely honest. And if I'm not mistaken, our average is a 4.9 out of 5 star rating for our programs.
mhm.
Think about that. A 4.9 out of 5. Now, I don't know who that zero point 0.1 person was, but either way, that's an amazing track record, guys. And the reason is we take it so seriously about what we do and the results that we want to get for the guys. Like, it's really important to us. We really care, which is absolutely amazing. In fact, I wasn't going to share this, but I got a call from one of the guys that was attending. I say a call, I got a voice message from one of the guys that was attending. He said, "Hey, look, I know you're not going to receive this, but I just want you to know that even though I've known you for a while, there's always this little thing in the back of my head of like, yeah, he's the owner of the company. So what he says on the podcast or when he's doing courses, is it really like that at home?" He said, seeing the way that you were with your family. So, those that don't know, my family came almost every day, the kids, and people were watching me when I wasn't aware. I had no clue. He's like, seeing the way that you are with your family and the way that you're with your wife, you're the most authentic person I've ever met. Everything you say on the podcast is 100% true. Like you are that way in real life, if not more. And I mean, it brought tears to my eyes. It does now because to you and I, Tim, it's so important that we live it out. We're authentic. So live it out is we live the message that we preach, not perfectly, but to our best of our ability. We live the message before we teach it, right? We really live this walk that we call the powerful man. We live it. I live it with my wife, and that's why I'm able to turn around fights in seconds versus what used to be months because I'm strong headed. I'm a strong willed person. If you get a chance to meet me, that'll come across really quickly as I can be stubborn. I know Tim would like to argue with that and say I'm not, but I can be. And so it was really cool to get that recognition of people seeing, and I didn't even think it wasn't the intent, but people just seeing me and my family together of like, hey, these things I talk to you guys about, the darkness that you are in now with your wife and with your kids, I've been there. I've been there, man. And I've also been to the other side of it. And to have other people witness that without intent was really cool. I didn't realize that anybody thought what you were saying. Had no idea. When we were up there giving my wife, just recognition, and it's just what we do. And I said, "Hey guys, we'll be back." I walked my wife to the car. I didn't even cross my mind that people were watching or thinking anything because that's just the way we live. And it wasn't until I got back that several guys pulled me aside with tears in their eyes and just being like, "Man, like you guys have something special." And the thing is, guys, you had something special with your wives too, with your kids. And you can have it again. We were on the verge of divorce several times as I was going through. There wasn't a powerful man. There wasn't a program like this to have a systematic methodology, right? It's called the activation method because it is a method and the method friggin' works. But you got to work it, right? You got to show up. I have to show up. And I show up and I'm still doing the work. So to have that recognition, to hear that from this gentleman just meant the world to me, Tim, and it was awesome. Definitely one of the highlights of that experience at the ranch.
Do you know what? I'm really, really happy that you were able to receive that. You deserve it. And yeah, it definitely wasn't planned. There was many times when Erin and the kids weren't meant to be there, right? They just were. And yeah, it's the first time I've seen you with Birdie and Aspen because obviously, first time I met Birdie, he was crawling around, and then obviously Aspen was born, and it was COVID and all that fun stuff. And man, your kids love you. Like they're so excited to see you, and it's awesome. It really is. Yeah, it definitely touched me. Definitely inspired me. There's definitely things I would look to model as a father. That's for sure. And it's not like you're doing it to try and prove something or to be something you're not. And look, you're human too, so it's like anybody. There'll be times when you'll probably do things you don't mean on you'd prefer that you didn't do, but regardless, I love the fact that the guys got to see you with your family, been real, because it just humanizes things and it puts things into perspective. And not only that, it gives these guys hope as well, right? It
Yeah.
gives them hope.
Yeah, it never even crossed my mind. To me, it was a stressful
I know, yeah.
situation.
I know it
I was
didn't
trying to
cross your mind.
manage
It's the last thing that would have been on your mind.
trying to
I
manage
know.
agendas that were changing
Yeah,
consistently and itineraries and
yeah, I
problems and
get it.
fires. So when I
I
saw
get
my
it.
kids for a little bit or my wife for a little bit, I was pretty highly stressed. I was trying to hide it the best I could, the stress part, and I don't do a good job. But it was really just
You
seeing
did.
them. I just never even considered that people were looking or watching. It just didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well,
Anyway, we don't have to. We're talking about magic moments at the ranch. I want to
it
add,
is that is a magic moment,
yeah.
right? You've been able to get that recognition from the men, I think is a magic moment because we're an online movement. When else does that? That's a very rare moment to have your wife and to have your family there, right? I think it certainly is a magic moment. I admire your humility and wanting to take the light off you and not talk about this at the same time. It's just worth noting. We always wonder, are we doing how well are we walking the talk? Naturally, you're humans. We're going to be in self reflection. We do our best to walk it. So, yeah, I love the fact that you were able to get that feedback from the men, and the men were able to see it because, like I said, it gives them hope too. Because if they can see that you've done it and you've walked the path and it's real, naturally, the guys all spoke about re-entry, like when they went home. A lot of the guys had some really good experiences. I think that's partly because of how they, I imagine, it could have been down to the deep conversations they had, but also the shift they'll have experienced from seeing you and the kids too. So, yeah, for me, that magic moment at the dinner, that awards evening was incredible. Um, your point of recognition, Erin, just all of it was just so special. And then just getting the team together as well. I just love getting the team together. I can't. I just left there thinking, should we get the team together more often? Could we get the team together
Yeah.
more often? Would it even work? Because I can't believe it's been a year since we've seen the team,
Yeah.
and now obviously we have the ranch. I just love getting together with the team, just being together in person with the men and the team, and with you. Just nothing beats it. You just can't. Nothing comes close to the Zoom. Just Zoom's great, and come on,
I,
you know.
I agree 100%. We'll be doing a lot more in-person events. Guys, that if you're in the alumni, get back active into the community because we're going to be doing a lot of announcements about these events. Hopefully, we'll have somebody else besides me organizing them as we go move forward, uh, which we will. And we'll be doing a lot more. Mr. Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews, and hopefully his beautiful partner Amelia will be coming out periodically
Mm,
to the ranch as we continue to build this movement. But we'll also be working on things with the coaches coming out, with the men that they've worked with, and having reunions. And we've got all kinds of plans of getting you guys together again to build firmer bonds. Yes, there'll be some trash talking. Yes, there'll be some fun, but more importantly, there'll be growth that happens at these events. And not just growth between the coaches sharing things and actually teaching, that there'll be some of that, but the growth that happens between when you get a unicorn together, and then you have a herd of unicorns, so to speak, drinking from the same watering hole, sharing experiences, sharing life, the good and the bad, so to speak, the wins and the lessons, if you will, and sharing those and realizing, you know what, you're not alone. You're not alone. It's quote lonely at the top. Unless you surround yourself with a bunch of men at the top, then it's not lonely at all. It's actually a lot of fun. And these guys,
mm,
they're not trying to do business together. Some of them have business opportunities that come up. These are just amazing men who are bettering themselves, but also for their families, their communities, and those they serve. So absolutely amazing. My heartfelt thank you and gratitude goes to you, Tim. Obviously, Amelia for creating the space that you can come out. Also, the men that arrived. I know some of the guys. We had more guys that wanted to make it that couldn't. So I'm so appreciative, and also the team for coming out, giving their best. They worked the land as well. Some of the guys said it was the best experience they had was getting their hands dirty in the soil, but also sharing of themselves. We ask our team to do some of the work that we ask the men to do. So they're doing personal development and deep discovery, and they're doing it with their coworkers, right? They're doing it with their bosses, if you will. And it's absolutely amazing the amount of trust and love that they put into us and the movement. Again, it doesn't get lost on me. There's not a day that's gone by since that retreat that I have not had just an immense feeling of gratitude and a feeling of love in my heart for everybody that was there in attendance. And there's certain people I'd like to have had deeper conversations with that I just didn't because we were such a large group. And there's other people that, I'll have had bonds that will last a lifetime that were created at that event. And I can't wait for the next one.
yeah, me too.
Guys, as we always say in the moment of insight, whatever you took from this, take some massive action today. Get off the fence, whatever the fence is. Now, if you don't join the activation method, you don't go to retreat, whatever, that's fine with me. It's fine with Tim. Just do something. Being on the fence, whatever it may be in your life, whatever decision you're waiting on, is no man's land. And it's not going to allow you the growth to your highest level. So whatever it is, take some massive action today. And we'll see you next time on the Powerful Man Show. All right, guys, that's a wrap for this episode. But as I always say, in the moment of insight, take massive action. You see, there are two types of men that listen to a podcast like this. Those that go on from one podcast or show to another, just hoping things are going to change and realizing that they're going to be in the same place month after month, year after year. You see, I was this guy, so I completely get it. You may just not be ready. But there's also a second man that listens to a show just like this. And this is a guy who takes massive action so they can shorten the learning curve, compress time, and get results to be the wolf. See, wolf is an acronym for wise, open, loving, and fierce. Now, ask yourself, which one am I? And just be honest with yourself there. And there's no judgment on my end, but if you're ready to move from deactivated deer mode, which is defend, excuse, explain, react, to activated wolf, wise, open, loving, and fierce, then go over to thepowerfulman.com/grow and go there now. In fact, I'll make it super easy for you. I will even put the link right in the description here so you can just click it and go over there now to learn more. Guys, in the moment of insight, take massive action. Go from deactivated to activated because like I said, life is too short for average. And I'll see you on the next episode.